Check, check.
Can you hear that? We can do either one, but we'll set that up for you guys for singing.
Okay.
And if you're going to be standing while you're playing, then that mic will probably pick it up. Is that cool?
Yeah, and I'll just play it.
I'll get you your cheap mic. Just get ready for 5 minutes.
Okay.
And I'm not going to be sitting up here all day. I'm going to go right down there. And you just call me up. And
You're just not gonna sit behind me and like judge me while I
Good morning, everyone. Oh, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Chattanooga. I am so happy that you are here either joining us in person or online. What a wonderful day. Pretty exciting stuff going on today. I am the Reverend Mandy Goheen. My pronouns are she, her, and it is my honor to serve this congregation as its settled minister. You can ask me lots of questions if you have them. You can also ask Judy, who's back there. She's our board rep today. She's waving. She has a little stole on to indicate who she is. Hi, Judy. And anyone who is part of this congregation would be happy to tell you all about us. So just find someone and ask some questions if you have them. Our opening words are by Leslie Arveda Fales, who I went to school with, and I didn't know she wrote such beautiful words, but I'm not surprised. All that we have been and all that we will become. All that we have been separately and all we will become together is stretched out before us and behind us like stars scattered across a canvas of sky. We stand on the precipice, locked arms together like tandem skydivers, working up the courage to jump. Tell me, friends, what do we have to lose? Our fear of failure? Our mistrust of our own talents? What have we got to lose? A poverty of the spirit? The lies that we are alone? What wonder awaits us in the space between the first leap and the moment our feet, our wheels, however we move our bodies across this precious earth touch down softly on unknown soil? What have we got to lose that we can't replace with some previous unimagined joy? Blessed are you, Spirit of Life, who has sustained us, enlivened us, and enabled us to reach this moment. Give us the courage in our leaping and gratitude in our landing, and share with us the joy of a long and fruitful ministry together. And now it is time for our chalice lighting. I'd like to invite Judy forward to light our chalice and everyone to join in the words and the order of service. In the light of truth and the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share. Chalices are lit in Unitarian Universalist communities all over the place to mark the beginning of our time together, the special time of being brave today, having courage. Speaking of courage, I am going to be doing a little singing today, not just accidentally through the microphone, as I do sometimes, but I'm going to sing a song today, and I'm going to talk about why it's going to take some courage for me to get there. But first, not to do it alone, I invite you all to join me in our opening hymn, number 318, We Would Be One. Please rise in body and or spirit, both here and at home, and join us in the gray hymnal. seated. Unless you are on the board or someone who is ready to join this church, and we have some folks who are ready to join to the church today, and I invite you to please come forward, and I promise I have a script for all of us. We're not just going to figure this out on our own. And any board members present, I would invite you to join us as well, especially you who has a part. And I'm going to get a microphone and hand that to you. I think that's on. And here is our script. Oh, you don't even have to share. I was so optimistic I printed 10 out. Anyone else want one? Come on, join. I'm kidding. So this is a day that we celebrate new membership in this church, and I am just so excited to welcome new folks to our community that is always changing and growing as we change and grow together. We welcome this day into the membership of this congregation of these people who have united with us in Unitarian Universalism. Please say your names. Let's get this.
Brianne Dervaloy.
Robert Dervaloy.
Leilana Bierce.
Yay. Okay. Thank you. Okay.
While we have no creed or test of faith, we do have a mission. Create beloved community, awaken hearts and minds, resist injustice and act with compassion, embrace life and care for the earth. Are you in agreement with our mission? If so, say, I am.
I am.
As a religious community, we are guided by love in the search for truth and meaning and in our interactions with one another. New member?
I will join you in the search for truth and meaning. I will seek to be guided by love in all my words and actions. I agree to support to the best of my ability the programs and ideals that bind us together in spirit and community.
Okay, and then we have a little handout, if you all got it, for the congregation. And I ask you to join me. We welcome
you as a full member of a religious community. We encourage you to join our shared journey. We will endeavor to be guided by love in all our words and actions. We include you now as we continue to support the programs and ideals that bind us together in spirit and community.
We
then
accept
each of you
into our
fully
ranks.
into our ranks. We extend the
We
right
start
hand of
fellowship. And this is a symbol and a reminder of the bond that already exists between us and the hopes of that bond growing stronger every day. So may it be. Ready? And all of us, let's say it together. So may it be. Big round of applause to welcome these new folks. Woo! We're going to have cookies and coffee afterwards, and they're going to sign the book. So there's still a few more steps. So please join us after the service for that celebration. And you guys get to go sit down now and not be on the spot anymore. Yay! One more round of applause. Woo! All right. See, that wasn't so scary. That's about what we're talking about, is courage, right? So now is the time in our service where we tell a story for all ages. And I often find that story for all ages tells me a lot more than I thought it would. And this is called Amelia and Her Super Magical Powers by Gail Spar. This is a story of a young girl named Amelia. Amelia was fascinated with the tales of people with superpowers, like Wonder Woman, or my personal favorite, Aquaman. Not the old Aquaman, just to be even out myself more, which is a little awkward if you've seen him. But she loved magic powers, and she wished she had a magic power to make her friend who was sad smile. She yearned to have that power. If I had magic powers, she said to herself, he would never be sad. Or like the little kids who were being picked on at school, on the schoolyard by the older girls. Ooh, superpowers would straighten her out fast, she said. And whenever she walked past the old rundown park near her house, she imagined how her magic powers could fix it up so the kids had a place to play. One night, just as Amelia was about to go to sleep, her fairy godmother came to her room. "Hello, Amelia," said the fairy godmother. "I'm here to help you. What have you been wishing for?" "Oh," said Amelia, "please give me some super magic powers so I can make a difference." "Well," said the fairy godmother, "I'm happy to give you some magic, Amelia, but..." And Amelia interrupted, "Oh my, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you." And she was so excited that she fell right asleep. The next morning when Amelia woke up, she remembered what had happened the night before, and she jumped out of bed, eager to use her new superpowers and put them to the test. And she walked to school, and she realized she'd forgotten to ask what she needed to do to release the power. Because you know there's always a secret word. Some secret word, a high sign, something else, but she decided she'd figure it out along the way as she went. That day at lunch, she saw a sad little boy sitting by himself. "Let's try my magic," she said, and she wiggled her finger at him from a distance. "Maybe I need to be closer," she thought. So she walked closer to him and wiggled her finger at him. And guess what happened? She smiled, right? Or he smiled. And then she thought, "Oh, I really do have magic. I really do. Can I join you for lunch?" she asked. "Sure," he said, smiling even bigger. The two of them laughed and talked all during lunch, and she learned his name was not Sad Little Boy, but Bobby. He'd lost his father earlier that year, and he and his mother had moved here after that, and he didn't know anyone, and he was too shy to go up to kids to talk. Well, Amelia and Bobby became good friends, and Bobby smiled a lot from then on. One day, soon after, Amelia and Bobby were in the playground when they saw Karen bullying two younger kids by the swing. She read what to do about bullies, but she'd never tried it. Never tried it before. She was a little afraid, but she really wasn't sure. But now, with her superpowers, come on with Bobby, let's go help those kids. So they walked up, and when Karen stood over the two children and Amelia wiggled her finger and said loudly, "Karen, stop right now. Come on, Jody and Lou. Come on with Bobby and me. You're safe with us." And after that, the four of them had left. Amelia told the other two, "If she bothers you again, just turn around and walk away and act like you don't hear her. Don't show any emotion, and if she keeps on trying to hurt you, let Miss Crenshaw know in the office. I'll go with you if you need to, and I'll bring my finger." They did just as Amelia said, and Karen never bothered them again. Well, now Amelia was feeling pretty good about her super magic powers. How can I use them to fix up this old park, she wondered. Wiggling her fingers didn't seem to be working. She still didn't quite know the magic words. Maybe if I start working to clean it up, something will occur to me. And so she did. She took the trash bags to the park and started picking up trash that had been left there. Before long, a couple of friends came by and asked her what she was doing. "I'm fixing up the park so we can play in it again." That sounded like a great idea to her friends, and they began to help. And soon other kids joined, and they picked up trash and pulled weeds and cleared out dead brush, and little by little, the park began to look better. When some of the parents saw the improvement, they decided to help. Some mowed the grass, others built picnic tables, and still others convinced the city that they needed some new play equipment. It was hard work, and it took many days, but they got their new park. And when it was all done, the whole neighborhood had a picnic there to celebrate. After the picnic, Amelia fell exhausted into bed, and she was about to go to sleep when her fairy godmother came back. "Oh, I'm so happy to see you," said Amelia. "I want to thank you for giving me all those super magic powers." The fairy godmother kind of rolled her eyes. I tried to tell you that my wand was broken, and I didn't give you any. Amelia looked shocked. You must have given me powers, protested Amelia. How could I have made Bobby happy and stopped the bullies and got the park fixed up? And the fairy godmother just smiled and said, My dear, you did that because you possess 3 powers that you developed in yourself: kindness, bravery, and determination. And with those 3 things, you're making a difference. But in the middle of that sentence, Amelia had fallen asleep. The end. It's time for religious education for people high school age and down, and there's a little song we sing to them as they go out to their classes. Go your way. It's always this in the room, and I think that is the perfect space, the quiet in the room, to celebrate some of the things I see around me. And I'd like to invite Carol Hobbs up to help us dedicate our art on the walls. And the microphone's over here.
Hello, I'm Carol Hobbs. Can you hear me? I would like to introduce you to the art and each of the artists who are here of the UUCC Fall 3D Art on the Walls exhibit. And you may hold your applause to the end. Early in 2022, Lynn Higgins and I sent out a call to UUCC members to create 3-dimensional art for our walls in October and November. The result of that call, as you see, is wonderful. Some of our young adult members have shown themselves to be true up and rising artists in their mediums. And it has been a delight to the older artists to see the beauty and originality of their work. Many hours have been spent in creating these works for you. Most are 100% fundraisers for UUCC. I would like to direct your attention to the first alcove on the left. This is called Autumn Dreams by Jen Horning. Jen's not here today. I have word that this is the first time she's attempted anything like this. Jen started with a background which she splattered and sponge painted. Then she incorporated it into a banner with appliqued leaves, some with metallic thread. It's beautiful, it's amazing, and it's already sold. The middle alcove was done by Diana Solomon, and it's an incredible installation of paper mache collaged with river birch bark and using hand-dyed fabric and rug looping. And it just brings autumn into the sanctuary. The gorgeous quilt you see was done by Pam Johnson. This leaf pattern quilt is just full of mellow fall shades, and we just appreciate being able to, you sharing it with us. Stand up, Pam. Artist. Then turning to the other wall, new member to be. Megan Green created this incredible origami leaf cascade. If you get a chance, look closely, you'll see that every leaf is a different blue pattern. And she also did the one next to it, the mobile of fiber and origami leaves. She originally was going to have them hanging together, but we saw that they are just beautiful, each in their own right, so we separated them. When we hung the mobile, we saw a pattern of shadow on the back wall that was just delightful as well. In the next alcove, we have an assemblage by Konstantin Chenkov. He says that it's an experimental assemblage to look at the passage of time and our part in it. And he invites you to turn the lever and enjoy the watercolor that he does. You can also see more of Konstantin's work at Ava Gallery on occasion. And then in the last alcove, Sarah Lord has given us a tissue paper assemblage. There she is. You're the sweetest. Yes, burlap and canvas leaves. Thank you. Sarah did an assemblage with tissue paper, and you're invited to look for the surprise in her colorful grass. On the back wall, Andy Foskey has done a simple but elegant fall leaf assemblage, and is just the essence of fall. And we thank all these artists. Let's give them a big hand for their work.
And let's give Carol a bigger hand and Lynn Higgins for their work, getting everybody going.
Can I say one more thing?
You can say one more thing.
Lynn is still working on her project, so stand by, it's coming.
Thank you. For our meditation today, I'm going to read a piece by Victoria Stafford called Map of the Journey in Progress. Here is where I found my voice and chose to be brave. Here is the place where I forgave someone against my better judgment, and I survived, and that unexpectedly was amazing, and I became wiser. Here is the place I was once forgiven. I was ready for once in my life to receive forgiveness and to be transformed, and I survived that also. I lived to tell the tale. This is a place where I said no more loudly than I ever thought I could, and everyone stared, but I said it no loud anyway because I knew it must be said. And those staring settled down into harmless, ineffective grumbling, and over me they had no power anymore. Here is a time and here is another when I laid down my fear and walked right on into it, right up into my neck, into the rolling water. Here's where cruelty taught me something, and here's where I first was astonished by gracious compassion and knew it for the miracle it was, the requirement it is. It was a trembling time. And here, much later, is where I returned the blessing clumsily. It wasn't hard, but I was unaccustomed to it. It cycled around as best I could, and I sent it back out. Passed the gift along. The circular motion around and around and around has no apparent end. And here's the place, a murky puddle, where I've stumbled more than once and fallen. I don't know yet what to learn there. On this sight, I was outraged, and the rage sustained me still. It clarifies my seeing. And here's where something caught me, a warm breeze in late winter, a bird song in late summer. And here is where I was told that something was wrong with my eyes, that I see the world strangely. And here's where I said, yes, I know, I walk in beauty. And here is where I began to look with my own eyes and listen with my ears and sing my own song, as shaky as it is. Here is where, if by surgeon's knife my heart was opened up, and here and here and here and here, these are the landmarks of my conversion. It is a practice in this community to share our joys and concerns by lighting candles. Candles to mark those times in our life that are too hard to hold in, that need a place to burn and eventually be blown out. During the music, I invite you forward to come and light a candle for your joys or concerns. And thank you, Judy, for lighting a candle for the joys and concerns we're not yet ready to bring forward, and another for those who are joining us online and aren't present to light a candle. I have a quote. It's a tough one. It's by Audre Lorde. I'll talk more about her in a second. The master's tools will never dismantle the master's house. let that settle in. We are a place of courage, a place of moral courage, where it isn't some threat of hell or someone responsible, another entity responsible for our mistakes. We have accountability, and we have to have moral courage to live in that space. And if anyone has ever taught me about moral courage, it has been both my children and also this author, Audre Lorde, is just really special and important to me. She was a African-American writer, womanist, which means she took the Bible and reimagined the meaning of it to support women and support specifically black women's stories. She was a radical feminist. She was a professor, she was a civil rights activist, and she was a self-described black lesbian mother warrior poet who dedicated her life both to her creative talent in addressing injustice, racism, sexism, classism, and especially homophobia. She died on November 17th, 1992, as many women of color do from breast cancer. The numbers of women who have bodies that are of a color have a higher chance of dying from the same cancer that white women do. We don't have to go far to know that that has to do with access to health care. As a poet, she's best known for her technical mastery and emotional expression. And now I quote her again, "We can sit in our corners, mute forever, while our lives are wasted, while our children are distorted and destroyed, while our earth is poisoned. We can sit in our safe corners, mute as bottles, and still we will be no less afraid." And that is what, if I were to name something as bad or evil, would be the silence in the presence of oppression. Next time she says, ask, what's the worst that will happen? Then push yourself a little further than you dare. Once you start to speak, people will yell at you. They will interrupt you, put you down, and suggest it's personal. And the world won't end, and the speaking will get easier and easier, and you will find that you have fallen in love with your own vision, with which you may never have realized you had. And you will lose some friends and some lovers and realize you don't miss them. And new ones will find you and cherish you. And at last you'll know with surpassing certainty that the only one thing is more frightening than speaking your truth, and that's not speaking. So we have to have moral courage to speak. And this seems like a strange shift, but Tom and Jerry. So Tom and Jerry, I thought would be a great cartoon to share with my kids. I love that cartoon. There are so many instances of a cat's head being turned into a pan that just make me smile and giggle. Totally ridiculous. So I thought it would be a really cool idea to put my kids down in front of Tom and Jerry and go off and do my own thing. At this point, and I have asked, and I just want to give you another caveat. When I tell a story about my kids, I've asked their permission. So I have frankly asked Sadie's permission to tell this story, and we talked about it yesterday. Just wanted to make sure. So I came down the stairs to all the kids, and Sadie was standing in front of the TV like this, with this terrified look on her face, fist clenched, frozen in fear, and went, "What is that?" It was the devil in a Tom and Jerry cartoon. I had nobly, liberally, religiously raised her to a point where she didn't even know what that was, much less been terrified of it enough to do good stuff, right? Because that's what we hear when we grow up in traditional religious contexts, that not only is there a God who is going to get mad at us if we're bad, we were bad in the first place because this other guy has it out for us and wants us to get in trouble. We don't have that here, do we? All we have is our silence. All we have is our inaction. So we have to be morally courageous and brave. I remember not buying into the idea of a devil, being little, thinking that's kind of silly. But I know some people are really, really afraid of that, and some people take it very seriously. In fact, some people will blame their bad behavior on other things that have influenced them and nudged them towards bad. I talked about process theology and the belief that the universe is nudging us towards good, and that nudge is what we might call God. So this is arguing that there's an actual guy tapping you on the shoulder going, hey, doesn't this easier way look easier? That doesn't mean that we don't do things that feel a little, as my dad would have said, ornery or indulgent, right? That doesn't mean that we don't do things that make us happy, that feel a little naughty sometimes. But we don't have the idea that that naughtiness is caused by some other thing. We know that's us. Accountability is one of the most important values that we can foster in this idea of moral courage. Not being comfortable. It is not possible to be comfortable and courageous at the same time. I mean, I've done some courageous things that made me sick at my stomach. I'm really, really, phobic's a strong word. I don't like medical stuff at all. Like, it really makes me uncomfortable and anxious. But I still do it because I have to. But it takes some courage, and that's not the kind of courage I'm talking about. I'm talking about the fear that somebody might judge you back for you sharing your truth. That's the fear that I'm speaking about. That you might be so afraid of what somebody is going to say, or even worse, you've already decided how they're going to say it and what they're going to say that you just are quiet. Has anybody been in that situation? I have more arguments with people by myself than you can ever imagine. And they're ridiculous, right? Like, and if I catch myself, I'll be like, they didn't say that. I have been to therapy a lot, and one of the things in therapy, they help me get that inner critic kind of quieted down. So I have this tendency to have that little argument before anything happens. Two things happen when we decide what somebody else is going to think or say. We don't give them a chance to think or say it, and the comfort is temporary. When you don't share what's on your heart, when you don't stand up for justice, when you don't get into the fight, even when it scares you, you're feeding into that silence that might really be the thing that's out there to get us. That quiet comfort. Audrey, Lord, I have come to believe over and over again that what is most important to do to me must be spoken, made verbal, and shared, even at the risk of having been bruised or misunderstood. That the speaking profits me beyond any other effect. What I most regret were my silence is. What if I had never been afraid to question or to speak? Could I have prevented, in those times I was afraid, pain or death? What could I have prevented? One of the things that we give people is the courage to speak their own truth. And I'm not saying that we don't do it with love. I'm not saying we're coming to someone in judgment. Well, that's not what I believe, so you're wrong. More of, this is how I believe, and I invite you into this space because I love you. I invite you to be loved. That's pretty radical. That's pretty brave. It takes some courage to invite people who are hard to love to be loved. And it can throw them off. Maybe not as much as doing this when they're bullying you. Although I think that's really effective and I might actually try it next time. You know, it would probably diffuse the whole situation. Hey. And we believe what we're told about fear sometimes. And I was told something over and over again as a kid. I was told that I didn't know how to sing. I was told that I was bad at it. And what's interesting is I didn't have the courage to say that's not true. I didn't have the courage to stand up for myself because I wanted to be comfortable. And I know this is a really concrete example. And the exciting thing is, whether you like it or not, I'm singing in a little bit. And I do have the courage to do that. And it doesn't even have to be good. Speaking up, we don't have to say the right thing. Sometimes just seeing someone else do it opens the door for the next person who has the better words to step up and help out, right? We don't always have the right words. I've not had a lot of the right words lately. Trust me. And Audre Lorde says, and of course I am afraid because the transformation of silence into language and action is an act of self-revelation. And that always seems to be fraught with danger. Paying attention and speaking up for justice gets easier. It's a practice, but it can feel dangerous. But you know when it doesn't? When we're together doing it. And that's the cool thing about this place. We're together doing that, doing the work of good without some scary little guy with horns and a pitchfork trying to lure us away from it, because we know that's not true. We are lured here to the good, just like that good in the universe pushes us. So I want you to be morally brave people outside of the context of good versus evil. And the reason I'm saying that, and here's the bottom line, is that is a binary, and we are pushing back against binaries in this world. That one or the other is not something that exists. We are in a space of beauty in the middle. And to be in that space of beauty in the middle, we have to be courageous, and we have to love each other, and we have to give each other the space to make mistakes, and we cannot remain silent. May it be so. And speaking of not remaining silent, this is our time in church where we do the offertory. And I want to talk about money for just a minute. Our finance committee met this week. If you want to be on the finance committee, we would love that. It's on Zoom. It's in the evening. They take care of the brave work of the money of this church, which isn't always that fun, but it is to them because they're different. They think different than me. I like raising money, and then I get it, and I'm like, whoa, okay. But we do need some more money around here, and I'm just being earnest about that. If it's your first time here, remember we're going to let the offering plate slide by, but if you're somebody who is committed to this community that helps push the comfort of that silence out of the corners and speak for justice, we need your help with your treasure, whatever you're comfortable giving today. We need you to consider increasing your pledge if you're in a space where you're ready to do that. Last time we had like a 5%. Let's do another 5% if you have that. We could really use it. We want to go like into the future of this next year just rocking and rolling and doing the good work of being loud and brave, and we need you to help us do that. And with that plea, the offering will be gratefully received. Thank you, Steve. Please join me in the offertory response that can be found in your order of service. We give these gifts freely, committed to our mission to care, create beloved community, awaken hearts and minds, resist injustice and act with compassion, embrace life and care for the earth. To this work, we dedicate our offerings. So, it is time for the closing song, Dylan. Everyone giggles nervously with me. All right, move this out of the way. So, it's awful scary to do things alone, Dylan. It is. So I think they should do it with us, don't you? All right, let's teach them the chorus, and then they can sing it with us. All right, so please rise in body or spirit to learn how to sing with your own Reverend Mandy and Dylan Kuzman. Oh, by the way, if you're uncomfortable with the word Lord, remember Audre Lorde was who the sermon was about. So you don't have to think of it whatever way you want. Okay, cool. So here is the chorus. We'll sing it through once, and then you can join us. It's in your order of service. I won't be afraid anymore. I won't be afraid anymore. Lord knows I've done some dumb stuff, but I plan to do some more. But I won't be afraid anymore. All right, join us. I won't be afraid anymore. I won't be afraid anymore. Lord knows I've done some dumb stuff and I plan to do some more. But I won't be afraid anymore. I'm gonna dance. Wait, I'm gonna try that again.
Okay.
All right. I'm gonna dance the way my grandma wanted. I'm gonna twist and shout and get down on it. Twist and shout and get down on it. Show them punks how much they want it. Dance like someone's proud of me.
Good job, Rev.
I won't be afraid anymore. I won't be afraid anymore. Lord knows I've done some dumb stuff and I plan to do some more. But I won't be afraid anymore.
All right, Rev.
All
Let's
right, and there I'll stand in line and that went wrong again. I'll stand in line and I'll be counted. That's the next part in the service. From the opening, blessed are you, Spirit of life, who has sustained us, enlivened us, and enabled us to reach this moment. This sentence is an adaptation of a Hebrew prayer. It means it's a blessing for any time you do something you haven't done in a long time, or doing something for the first time, or where you're doing something like once a year, or that something that you should feel blessed about. But really what it's for is for when you feel a little bit afraid. Blessed are you, Spirit of life, who has sustained us, enlivened us, and enabled us to reach this moment. Thank you all so much for this moment. And please join me in our chalice extinguishing. We extinguish this flame, but keep the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and share with all the world. I always do that backwards. And now it's time for announcements. Judith, do you have a social justice memento? Oh.
Welcome. Here's our social justice. It's not a quote, really. It's just some information. Exxon knew about climate change almost 40 years ago. Exxon was aware of climate change as early as 1977, 11 years before it became a public issue, according to a recent investigation from Inside Climate News. This knowledge did not prevent the company, now ExxonMobil and the world's largest oil and gas company, from spending decades refusing to publicly acknowledge climate change and even promoting climate misinformation. So just think about, how do you feel when you hear this? Thank you.
Don't be silent about that. Do we have any other announcements? I see Dave coming up.
All right, folks, the Landscape Committee is meeting outside the front door right after the service here. We're going to do a walkabout of the grounds. If you're interested in coming along, check it out. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm filling in for Selena, who's in Paris, Tennessee, this weekend. We are going to have another potluck this Wednesday at 6 p.m. at the church. I urge everybody to come. It's a wonderful time of fellowship. Just bring a dish and enjoy wonderful company with fellow people of like minds, and bring friends, too.
Hello, it's me again. I was just going to announce that next week the board will be meeting after church on Sunday. So if you are on the board, you kind of have to stay. If you want to stay and experience what the board is like, that is also okay. All of our meetings are open to anyone who wants to attend. Did you mention the water communion?
Not yet.
Do you want to do it?
Thank you.
Okay.
I just remembered.
I did too.
Okay. I'll let Pam go, and then I'm going to save all my things I remember for last. Reverend Pam.
Yes, I'm the Reverend Pam Johnson, affiliated community minister. Around here, you can just call me Pam. I was inspired by your sermon and some of the topics you mentioned. I'm doing a shameless plug for my own sermon, which will be on November the 6th. And I'll be talking about, I'm not sure if it's going to be the spirituality of imperfection or the gifts of imperfection, but how does that sense of shame affect us, and how does it affect our spirituality and our ability to have a voice? So thank you for your speech today, and it should be interesting. I'm enjoying writing it.
Yay. Anybody else? All right. So a tradition in Unitarian Universalism that dates back to the 1980s, I believe, I can't remember all of it, is called water communion. or in gathering. It's like our homecoming. It's kind of our big celebration of the year, and everyone's invited to bring water that is meaningful for them. It can be out of your tap or your dog bowl or some fabulous beach you've been to, and we put it all in a pot, and we bless it, and then I boil it. Because do you know how you make holy water? There's 2 ways. You can boil the hell out of it. Or if you don't have a stove, you can put it in a jar and shake the hell out of it. But we believe in science, so we'll be using boiling. So bring your water to this beautiful ritual that we use the water for blessings throughout the year. And it's going to be a multi-generational service, which means it'll be for all ages. And I'll probably do something silly as usual. But anyway, we really encourage everyone who's possible to be here next Sunday for that big in-gathering celebration. And then you could stay for the board meeting. So exciting, right? Thank you, everyone, for coming and celebrating with us today in this community, this beloved community, a place where we get an hour just to be together and think big thoughts and make big plans and just relax in this space. And remember, bring your friends. It's super fun. And have a great week. Love all of you. Oh, coffee. Coffee and cookies and signing the book after church. So, yay.